All right, guys. Hey, my name is Mo. Yes, I own a frame shop in New York called Big Apple Art Gallery and Framing. Today with me is Margot and Adam. Margot's in Canada. Adam is in Atlanta, right?
Savannah,
Savannah, Georgia. Georgia. There you go.
Nice.
Georgia.
I remember the state, but said the wrong name. All right, guys. So today's topic is going to be about West Coast Autumn Frame and what things you find beneficial about it, and general discussion about that. Margot, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name's Margot Nicolson. Tomorrow is actually my 41st anniversary of the gallery,
Oh, wow.
being in business. I got my CPF back in 97. My dad got his back, I think, the second year that they were offered. Grew up in the industry. And this is a really cool, interesting industry. I'm a couple hours north of Toronto, so I'm sort of in I'm in a nice area, but I'm just a little bit far away from most people in the industry that you can have that regular connection with. And so we're going to talk about WCAF, and that's one of the reasons that I go to the show.
Nice. Adam, how about you?
Well, I'm also in a family business. Friedman has been in my in-laws' family for 120 years. So I moved in and became the next generation. Um, my father-in-law had been to WCAF a number of years ago. I had never been up until last year, and I said, it's time to go. I got to go touch, feel, meet people, and
Yeah.
I got introduced to Mo because last year he was looking for somebody who was experienced and someone who wasn't experienced, and I volunteered to be the non-experienced one. So here I am, slightly experienced.
Yeah, well, that's good. I try to pick some different people, but it was good to have Adam back because he has never been, and I want to know what he learned and all that. And then I called Margot, and I said, "Hey, how many times you been?" And she said several times. So I said, "Oh, that'll be great." Plus, she's international, so it'll be good to kind of show the international following. All right, we'll go ladies first. Margot, tell us about the show and why do you go so often?
Well, I go couple of things. One is education. We're a small industry, but education is so important with what we do. The other big thing is the networking opportunities. Mo, if it wasn't for that show, in 2020, I should have been in 2019. I broke my ankle. 2020, that's when we first met. But if we hadn't met there, we wouldn't have this connection. And this is a great connection. We talk every couple of months. It's awesome. Those are the things that are so important in this industry. There's not really a lot of us on a worldwide basis, and we need to have these connections with each other. And obviously the touching, the feeling of the product, seeing what's new. We're all similar, but we're all very different. And it's really fascinating to just sit around and listen to people about how they would approach things and do things differently than you. You just learn.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Adam, so you've been there just this last year, right? In 2024, actually. So this current year. Tell me what do you got out of it, and how do you feel about the show?
Well, we picked up a bunch of new samples from companies that even some vendors that we have already, that just stuff I hadn't seen in person, and decided to take a flyer on, but also picked up some new vendors, and some of those vendors have sold very well so far. So being able to see, like you said, see them in person and put your hands on them makes a big difference sometimes. Education, Margot, you're absolutely right about that. I went to a number of sessions that were great. Some that, I'm gonna say it this way. We're all passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
Not all of us are good presenters and teachers. And it's important to keep that in mind. But even the classes that I sat in on that I wasn't as impressed with with how the things were presented, I still took a lot out of them. You just have to not get too frustrated about some of those things.
Right, because the presenters are people like me and you, right?
They're you and me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you have to take a minute to remind yourself of that sometimes, or at least I do.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I'm not Canadian and nice like Margot is.
Well, there are moments.
And you're not as unnice as I am in New York, right?
I'm a Massachusetts native, so
Oh,
I get my
oh, we're twins.
I get my attitude up.
All right. So, do you think it benefited your business? This question is to both of you. Going to the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think what you have to do is you have to decide what you want to learn. So I always pick one or two sort of areas that I really want to focus on and take classes in those aspects, or even when you're just sitting around talking with people at the bar afterwards and focus on that. And then I came home and I followed the Scott Dawson lessons of 1 square meter.
Yep.
And I made up little cards of all the different things that I wanted to do. And I was actually looking at my bulletin board and I've got one thing left from last year. And there was about 45 up there that we walked through and did. But if you break them down to small things instead of trying to be a big, huge thing, which I think sometimes is what people do, you go to the show, you get all excited, you come back, and it wears off in 2, 3 weeks. So you have to put something in place to take it forward. So that's my ongoing thing. So I'm right now, where do I want to go going forward? And what are those steps going to be next year?
That's great. Margot, I know the answer. I want to ask you the question anyway. What's the Scott Dawson 1 square meter at a time setup? I have a video about it, but I want to know your understanding of it.
My understanding of it, it came from when he was converting from one type of a frame business to the beginnings of where he has now gone to, is that it just becomes so overwhelming if you walk in and you look at the space and I want to change this.
Yeah.
But if you break it down to tiny little steps, that 1 square meter, it all of a sudden it's not that big of a deal, right? Maybe today it's just like Michael Mixon did on the weekend, cleaning out
Oh yeah.
his workshop so that you can get around, right? That's one thing that's now done, that's off the list, that's going to allow me to go to the next step. And you've got to do that. And I think a lot of people go to the convention, they're excited about the convention, and then they don't come the next couple of years because, after 2, 3 months of being home, things didn't get followed through on. You very quickly fall back into your regular pattern. So unless you do something that forces you to take those extra steps, you sort of lose out on some of the things that you learned that could be taking you to the next level.
That's great. Thanks, Margot. Adam, how about you? Did your business benefit from going to the show?
I mean, absolutely. We picked up, like I said, a couple new vendors. Bella was one of them. I hope it's okay to
They have good
do
stuff.
positive namings as opposed
Yeah.
to negative namings.
Yeah.
We picked up Bella and it's been very positive. We sold our first Prisma frame, less than a couple months after we got that sample set in, and customers are super happy about it. Another name I want to put out there for something that I really, really took away from was Meg Glasgow's digital marketing boot camp was phenomenal. I came home, I immediately started doing our digital social media stuff, and I have had so many people in so many different areas say, "Who is doing your social media? It is fantastic," and it's all because of stuff that I picked up at WCAF.
I love it. I love it. This is a perfect ending for this segment. So I appreciate it. So guys, go to the show. Let's keep the show happening because I was just telling Margot and Adam earlier that the Australians had the show. Not a lot of people showed up. They did it twice a year. Then some people couldn't make it, and then they had no show. So we have just a single show left here in America that has all the different vendors. So let's support them and keep it up. Guys, I appreciate you making the time for this, and we'll see you soon, hopefully.
Perfect. See you in January. Bye, Mo.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to make an ask. I want to make an ask of Harry Gaston.
Yeah.
Bring it back to Worcester
Oh,
and do that show because that is way more convenient for me than going out to Vegas from Savannah.
I tell you the answer
So
to that is no.
Harry, if you're watching this, your turn, bud. Or if somebody else in Atlanta wants to do it, or the Southeast wants to do it, and we can alternate, that'd be great.
I know a guy. His name is Adam Finns in Savannah.
Look, if somebody wants to help me put it together, I would consider it. So, people with experience, let me know.
All right, that sounds good. All right, guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mo.
Take care.
Bye, Mo.